In the spring of 1917, the small village of Fatima in central Portugal was as ordinary as any other rural town in Europe. Shepherds tended their flocks, families worked the fields, and the world's greatest concerns seemed far away. But beyond the hills, the First World War was dragging on into its third year. Millions were dead, families were torn apart. Portugal itself was under the control of a harsh anti-clerical government, which had little tolerance for the church or for religious devotion. It was a time of fear, division, and uncertainty. On May 13th of that year, 3 children, 10-year-old Lucia dos Santos and her cousins, Jacinta and Francisco Marto, were out tending sheep in the Cova da Iria, a grazing field near the village. By all accounts, they were simple, ordinary children with no reason to invent a story. Yet what they claimed to see that day would forever change the village, and eventually the world. Lucia described the figure as a woman brighter than the sun, clothed in a white mantle, holding a rosary in her hands. She was surrounded by a light so intense that the children could barely look directly at her. The lady told them to pray the rosary every day and to return to the same spot on the 13th of each month for the next 5 months. At first, almost no one believed them. Even their families were skeptical. But the children insisted, and on June 13th, the lady returned again, speaking once more of prayer and sacrifice. By July, word had spread. Dozens of villagers followed the children into the fields to see if anything would happen. Those who came did not see the radiant figure, but many reported feeling a shift in the atmosphere. The sun seemed dimmer, the air changed, and an overwhelming sense of awe fell on the crowd. The messages grew more serious. The lady gave the children visions, terrifying ones. One was said to show the fires of hell itself, with demons and the tortured souls of the damned. Another warned of a worse war to come if humanity did not repent. She spoke of Russia spreading its errors across the world, words that decades later would be linked to communism's rise. And then there was the mysterious third secret, sealed away and hidden for decades. The authorities were not pleased. The secular government of Portugal had long waged a campaign against the Catholic Church, closing monasteries and arresting priests. When reports of thousands gathering in the hills of Fatima reached the officials, they decided to put a stop to it. The 3 children were arrested, threatened, and even told they would be boiled alive if they didn't confess to making up the story, but they held firm, refusing to change their account. Despite pressure, the crowds only grew. By September, over 20,000 people gathered. Some witnesses reported strange phenomena already. Clouds parting suddenly, mysterious fragrances in the air, or glowing spheres of light above the oak tree. Newspapers, both sympathetic and hostile, began covering the story. Skeptics scoffed, but others were intrigued. Finally, October 13th arrived. The lady had promised the children that a great miracle would occur so that all would believe. Tens of thousands came. Farmers, laborers, priests, journalists, skeptics, even government officials determined to witness and debunk it. The weather was miserable. Heavy rain turned the fields into a sea of mud. Witnesses stood drenched, waiting, many convinced nothing would happen. Then, shortly after noon, something extraordinary began. According to reports, the rain suddenly ceased. The clouds broke apart, and the sun appeared as a pale disk in the sky. Witnesses said it looked different, dimmed like a glowing silver wheel. Then it began to move. The sun spun rapidly, casting bands of color, red, violet, blue, across the earth. People gasped as it seemed to whirl, dance, and zigzag. For some, it appeared to break free from the heavens, plummeting toward the earth as if the end of the world had come. The crowd screamed, some cried out prayers, others collapsed in terror. Then As suddenly as it had begun, the sun returned to its normal position. Perhaps even more strange, many in the crowd reported that their soaked clothes and the muddy ground dried instantly as if the storm had never happened. Eyewitness testimony came from every kind of observer. A local newspaper, O Seculo, published accounts from secular journalists who admitted something extraordinary had occurred. A government official, present to mock and discredit the event, wrote afterward that he could not deny what he had seen. Some described it as a terrifying moment they would never forget. Yet not everyone saw the same thing. A few nearby reported seeing only the sun shining unusually bright. Some claimed they saw nothing at all. This inconsistency has fueled debate for over a century. Was it a miracle witnessed by thousands, or a mass psychological event amplified by expectation? In the years that followed, the Vatican carefully investigated. Eventually, the Church declared the apparitions and the miracle worthy of belief. Fatima became one of the most visited pilgrimage sites in the world, with millions traveling there each year. A massive basilica was built on the site, and the children themselves became iconic figures of Catholic devotion. Francisco and Jacinta both died young, as the lady had predicted, but Lucia lived into her 90s, spending her life in religious service. The so-called 3 secrets of Fatima only deepened the mystery. The first 2 were revealed in 1941. The vision of hell and the prophecy about Russia. The third secret was held back by the Vatican for decades. When it was finally revealed in the year 2000, it described a vision of a bishop in white falling to the ground under gunfire, which many connected to the 1981 assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II. But critics argue that the Church never released the full content. Some believe the true third secret predicts a global apocalypse, the end of faith, or catastrophic upheaval still to come. Skeptics offer alternative explanations. Some scientists argue that staring at the sun too long caused retinal burn and visual distortions. Others suggest atmospheric phenomena, high-altitude ice crystals refracting light, or unusual meteorological conditions that day. Psychologists point to the power of mass suggestion, noting that many in the crowd were primed to expect a miracle. Once a few shouted that they saw something, thousands may have convinced themselves they saw it too. Yet the counter-arguments fail to explain everything. How did so many observers, including skeptics and journalists, describe such similar details? How did the soaked ground and clothing of thousands become dry in moments? Why did witnesses describe colors, movements, and phenomena that don't match simple retinal burn? That tension between belief and skepticism is what keeps the Fatima story alive. For the faithful, the miracle of the sun is undeniable proof of divine intervention, a moment when heaven broke into history. For skeptics, it remains a case study in mass psychology, a reminder of how easily human perception can be manipulated. Over a century later, the questions remain unresolved. Did the Virgin Mary truly appear to 3 poor shepherd children? Did tens of thousands really witness the sun defy the laws of nature? Or did desperation, fear, and the power of expectation create one of history's greatest illusions? Fatima endures because it refuses to be explained away. It is part miracle, part mystery, and part psychological riddle. It sits uneasily between faith and reason, leaving us to wonder whether the truth lies in heaven, in the mind, or in some strange intersection of both. What is certain is that on October 13, 1917, in a muddy field in Portugal, tens of thousands of people walked away believing they had seen the impossible. And whether miracle or mass vision, that belief has shaped history ever since. Comment, like and subscribe for more mysteries that history has never fully answered.